Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of Health Matters with Laura Kopak.
Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about the darker side of nutritional supplements, and we're going to cover several main points. So, the first point is the quality of the product you may be considering purchasing. So, nutritional supplements have become a billion-dollar industry, and they are set to increase over the next decade, even more. And many of us are familiar with a multivitamin or an omega or probiotic. And these are just a few examples of what is considered uh, nutritional supplementation. It becomes necessary to think about supplements because of a few reasons. One, a lot of our minerals are found in the topsoil, and even just the use of large manufacturing equipment means that the produce, even the feed that the animals are eating, is going to lack in mineral content. So, studies have found that even if you think you're getting your vitamins, you may be lacking in minerals. And so, it's something to consider that a multivitamin is not just a, have vitamins in it, but that it has minerals in it. So, when we think about a multivitamin, I'm pretty sure most of us are thinking about the cost, you know, and if it's part of your grocery shopping, it's easy to pick up a multivitamin at your grocery store. But what you may not know is the first thing is it going to be absorbed in your body? So I have kind of a little trick that many of us have been talking about, and I've even seen it done as a demonstration, and it's been at clinics I worked at before I opened my own practice. So, but it's taking a little bit of white vinegar, just about an inch in a cup, and putting your supplement in there. Now, unless it is enteric coated so that it is not meant to break down in the stomach, then you can try this with your supplement. Okay. So you're going to take one of them. So don't put a bunch of them in the vinegar. Do one at a time, drop it in the cup, and then set a timer for 20 minutes. So for most of us, our absorption isn't ideal. So vinegar is a good way of kind of simulating stomach acid production. Of course, you're going to have a good hour to break down your food, your supplements in that upper part of that digestive. But a good 20 minutes in vinegar should give you an idea of whether that supplement is going to actually be broken down during that upper part of your digestion, or whether it's going to be absorbed in the lower half of the digestive phase. So if it's not going to be kind of soft or mushy, so at the end of the 20 minutes, when you look at that supplement, take that cup and look at it, like poke it with a knife or a fork. And if you can poke it, like if it's soft and kind of, a little bit on the mushy side, or will break apart, then that is going to be usable by your body. So that's the first thing is you're kind of looking at, will this even be absorbed? What's interesting is oftentimes when I will run some testing to look at supplement needs, and I have someone do this with with the brands they have at home, it's pretty much right on that the one that doesn't have any kind of absorption, right? Like doesn't pass the vinegar test, if you will, is not in a normal range on their labs. I mean, it just kind of, I mean, that's the point of actually making sure your supplement is being absorbed. Also, too, the potency. We'll talk about that. But the first thing is kind of looking at, you know, certainly liquids are going to be much more absorbable. Chewables are also more absorbable, but that doesn't mean a gummy is going to be absorbed correctly. And also, chewables and gummies often don't have the potency that makes it even a valuable supplement to even take. So, for example, most adults, and this is not a recommendation, remember that anything I do is for educational and entertainment purposes only, any of my informative videos, podcasts. So, and I will talk about how you should go about knowing what your supplements are for you. But on average, an adult needs about 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, bumping that in certain conditions, right? So a gummy isn't going to contain 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. A gummy might be 200 milligrams, 500 milligrams. Um, Sometimes magnesium, that's a really big one I find. So let's kind of transition here into the potency of things. If you're looking at the bottle and you go, oh, well, this magnesium is $10 and this magnesium is 30. I mean, most people are going to grab the $10 bottle of magnesium. But there's a couple things to look at to make sure that you're actually getting the best monetary value when you purchase a supplement. And that's a combination of the dosage and the amount of capsules that are in there. So the servings, if you will, right? So, and you can do a quick calculation. You can round the product up or down into, a fives or tens to make your math really easy. So you could do it as mental math, or you can take out your phone and take out your calculator. But so, for example, when you look at a bottle of vitamin D that has 5,000 IUs and 120 soft gels, like that's a good, and if that, because I'll give you an example, we sell that exact product. It's a Metagenics, high quality. I know that vitamin D is going to be properly absorbed, and that we retail that at 29. So 120 capsules and 5,000 IUs. That's a good value per soft gel. But let's go back to the magnesium. So, most of those over-the-counter magnesiums is going to be 100 milligrams in a capsule. Okay. So if you're buying, let's do the math too, right? Okay. So say you buy magnesium that is, say it's at 100 capsules at 100 milligrams. Okay. In all actuality, that's 1,000 milligrams total in that bottle. Say the serving size. I mean, again, say you take the 100 milligrams, but say your need is 500 milligrams. Now, if you take, well, first of all, who wants to take 5 capsules of one particular supplement, right? But if you calculate that, right? And what did I say there was in the bottle? Let's say 100 milligrams, 30 capsules, okay? Now let's say the serving size actually says to take 2 capsules. Well, guess what? That's not a month supply. That is a 2-week supply, okay? And say you pay $10 for 2 weeks. Now you're going to pay, if you buy that bottle again to get through the month, you're going to pay $20 for that bottle, okay? If you need 500 milligrams, you're just not even going to get that, right? If you buy a bottle that has 120 capsules and that is at, say it's at, the one we carry is close to 400 milligrams. per capsule. So it's like 4 capsules in one, right? When you start to calculate the price of that, for the price per capsule actually comes down. And so when you have a bottle that could be $30, $40, but is at a high level of potency, has a high amount of capsules in it, and you do the math, you might find that per capsule, you're paying actually 2 to 3 times as much on that $10 bottle than you are on the $30 to $40 bottle. Are you following me? So you're going to look at the amount of capsules that are in there, going to look at the amount of milligrams, and you're going to figure out if that is of value to you to buy something that is seemingly cheap, right? Um, I always tell people too, if you're trying to fit that higher priced product into your budget, like say that $40 bottle is not going to fit in your budget if you buy, three other supplements. I always say this: buy the better brand, buy the more absorbable brand, and then just take less of it, right? So also too, something like vitamin D, it's fat soluble, it stores in your body. You might find that taking a 5,000 IU every other day and getting 2,500 daily of a really good quality. Right now, you've turned that 120 soft gels into 240. Now you've turned that one bottle into an 8 month supply. And if that's, $30 divided by eight, that's $3.75 per month. Like, I mean, and then if you divide that by 30, it's 13 cents a day. So, I mean, really, again, you can make good quality supplements work within your budget, and buying something that is cheaper, again, first of all, you may be getting a fraction of the potency that even matters to your body. You may be getting something that's not going to be absorbed by your body. And so those two considerations can make that product you're picking up at the grocery store a waste of money. Because if you're absorbing it mostly in your large intestine, then you're literally pooping out most of that supplement. And so then, where's the value to your body? And then you've kind of flushed the $10 down the toilet as opposed to buying something for $30 or $40 and knowing that it's going to get into your body and you're going to use it. And then making that a little bit more manageable in terms of how you spread it out. Um, so again, calculate the price per capsule. Look at the potency and the dosage that you need to have so that that goes into the calculation as well. I guarantee you that there is a lot of, and we see this in everything too, like watered down. It's a heavily diluted, so it looks like it's a very affordable supplement. Also, too, these seals of approval that these supplements have, like that's a really easy way for that company to set up an independent approval agency, and they're actually giving themselves a seal of approval. So how do you know that that seal of approval is actually something that is uh, recognizable and that isn't just their own company creating something to incentivize you to think that you're getting better quality when you're actually not? So, those of us that are buying supplement, that's a commitment. That's a commitment to our health budget, our grocery budget. And so, if you know how to recognize a good supplement and how to pass on something. And also too, you'll find that, if one brand doesn't, if one supplement you have of a particular brand doesn't pass that vinegar test, there's a pretty good chance that that company doesn't formulate in a way that it's going to be absorbed, uh, highly absorbable to you. Now, some companies actually advertise the absorbability, and they advertise that, they're backing their supplements by science. You can tell a little bit by the verbiage used on the supplements website. So you kind of got to look for that. So let's talk about a protein powder. You could call that food. You could call that a nutritional supplement. Um, Protein powders are so popular right now. They're being mass produced. Some of them are being mass produced and outsourced. So they're being manufactured in another country that doesn't have the same regulations, or could be manufactured in a really old uh, factory, and then this is contaminated with heavy metals like mercury and lead. So when I first started in practice, I would say the first 10 to 15 years, even somewhere between those two, and we do testing for heavy metals that are in one of our panels that I'll show you, that actually shows you the nutrients that you might need a supplement on. But it used to be like I could count on one hand the amount of people in all of those years that had metal toxicity. And now it's like one every 3 to 5 persons. And a lot of it is tied to their protein powder, their collagen powder. So, something to look for on someone's website is third-party testing. Someone that is actually going to pay to make sure that there aren't heavy metals in the powders. This sometimes can even happen in a drink powder, right? So, um, a company that spends that time doing that, it's that time and money, they're going to advertise that. It's going to be on their website as a priority to them, that it's important that they are making sure that their ingredients that they're buying are being tested for quality control and pass that. So that matters to you. And so be really intentional about your powders. The other thing too is that you may not need collagen on a daily basis. Most women that are consuming collagen on a daily basis, we're finding that they might have too many oxalates in their system. That's a highly charged molecule that is supposed to be eliminated, um, through your kidneys, your urine. And so that can create a burden on the kidneys. So a lot of these highly absorbable powders like protein and collagen, right? Those are now the opposite of what we just talked about. They are highly absorbable. We are not meant to absorb protein that fast, right? And most of our protein isn't something that takes a really long time to digest, whether it is animal protein or legumes and combined with grains. That makes for a long digestive process. And so when you assimilate that protein and that collagen really quickly, that might be really good for your muscles. Excuse me. Not going to be great for your liver and your kidneys. So, uh, your collagen you may want to drop down to uh, every other day, a couple times a week. Depends on what your exercise routine is. If you're getting a good amount of animal protein, do you even need the protein powder on an ongoing basis if your exercise is just light to moderate? So these are things to consider, does that supplement match your diet and your lifestyle, right? So let's also talk about, I'm going to um, share my screen here with you and talk about how we test for certain supplements. Okay, so I'm gonna get that ready here. So this is a sample report of a test we do here called the NutriEval. It's one of my favorite functional panels, functional assessment. And this has become pretty popular through the years. I will say, though, that I've been working with this panel for 18 years now, and it does take a level of experience to strategize this. If you take this at face value, you may actually be not getting the nutrients that you need, or you may be overdoing nutrients. So I'm going to kind of show you how this works. So you can see here again, this black diamond is going to be the level of the person being tested. And again, this is a sample report. So if this was a real person, we would look and say, okay, your glutathione is deficient. That's a primary antioxidant. So green is within normal limits, yellow is moderately out of range, red is significantly out of range. And we want to look at it in whole blood as well. So this test is going to be blood and urine, and then some of that blood is going to be converted into serum plasma. And so with doing that, you can ascertain some of the reserves, if you will, right? So that's kind of how I refer to it. So I'm going to quickly scroll to where you can see the glutathione measurement again. And so you can see again, if this was a real person, in their whole blood, they're right on the borderline um, of being deficient. So when I'm navigating, strategizing an educational plan for someone and kind of saying, hey, uh, this is going to probably be impactful in terms of potency, frequency, right? There is definitely glutathione in this person in reserve. So I would look at other things to determine if there's a recent, maybe this person had a recent bout with a virus, maybe it was COVID, and it kind of used up some of that glutathione. And so they might normally bounce back. So it's a conversation too as to whether or not, this is something that is going to be affecting them. I also might look at, heavy metals. So again, look here, if this was a real person, we would be having a discussion about where this is coming from and making some dietary and or lifestyle changes. But that glutathione is being used up as part of a detoxification for the metals. So, with metals here and a depleted glutathione, but still in reserve, might be a short protocol to go with the heavy metal detoxification. So again, this is, part of like how we could look at, and this is in blood, which is going to be very different from measuring heavy metals by urine or hair. So, it's being stored in the blood. I would say it's a more significant issue. The cool thing is we have uh, full potency, integral ingredients that we use as part of a detoxification to this. Some of it may be in the form of a nutrient IV, which is going to be much more quicker and faster. And again, that's also something that's growing in popularity, but we're doing triple the potency in some of these, which in the end you might wind up spending more money having to go longer and your body actually in a state of crisis because you're to resolve the issue is a longer process. So in it's it's like a contractor comes in and bid the job low and then really they mark it up as they go. Oh, we found this, we found that, versus someone who's like lays it all out and understands what it's going to take and then actually delivers on that. So it's you got to start asking yourself questions about what you're really getting um, for the price that you're paying. All right, so let's go back up here. Um, zinc. Zinc is something that kind of got a lot of popularity in COVID. Zinc doesn't fight viruses. It fights bacteria. It's great if you have an upper respiratory infection that could be bacterial. It is great if someone has COVID because what often can happen when someone has a virus is it can develop a secondary bacterial infection. There were people developing bacterial pneumonia in that first round of COVID-19, and zinc became something that was recommended. But I see a lot of people that stay on zinc on top of their multivitamin. They're taking too high a dose. Zinc is toxic in high doses. It can cause increased appetite. It can cause nausea. It can cause even headaches. So you need to be you take zinc if you're already having in a high quality multivitamin, you don't need it on a daily basis unless you're actually trying to do something specific with it. So I will use it in a way as an appetite stimulant if someone's levels come up low, and that is also one of their primary issues that they're trying to deal with. And again, let's say, imagine this is a real person. So in the green, we're going to check over here again. In plasma, you can see this person is almost too much zinc. So if this person was taking additional zinc on top of a multivitamin, I might have them stop and put it in their medicine cabinet to use with a cold. You can see too, there's a relationship between zinc and copper. There's a relationship with several nutrients. Um, and this person's copper is being depleted because their zinc is becoming too high. Copper is going to fight viruses. So, someone who might be doing zinc thinking they're preventing COVID and doing too much of it and their copper's going down, they're actually working against their body's ability to fight COVID. So, something again to consider is like, what is the reason why I'm doing the supplement? Is it appropriate to take on an ongoing basis? It's the next kind of question to ask. Of course, I'm going to be like, I'm all about this panel. If you take more than a couple supplements, if you're an adult and you have a health goal, like this is a really great way of going, do you need all this? Are you missing something? You're taking too much of something? Are you missing something that you should be doing instead? I'm going to go back up to this page 9 here and talk about CoQ10. So a lot of people are being recommended as they get older to take CoQ10. CoQ10 is a very great nutrient. You see here, we can find in the serum, and often people, their dosage is too high, and their body's capable of storing it quite well. And again, having the we can take too much of a good thing, and then that's just not a good fit anymore. Oh, there's those oxalates that get tested there. I was talking about that with collagen. All right, let me go back up here and talk about what other. Oh, let's talk about vitamin Bs. Um, here. So if this was a real person, they're not getting B vitamins. B vitamins are water soluble. You take a B vitamin, it's not, chances are you're going to use it and pee out what you don't use within a certain period of time. It's not going to last you 12 hours. So, depending on a person's GI issues, symptoms, they may need to take their B vitamins twice a day. B vitamins have to be taken with food. Many of our supplements are concentrated nutrients encapsulated, and they're going to be tolerated better if they're taken with food. So sometimes I hear people say things like, oh, my multivitamin made me nauseous, so I switched to a gummy. Um, First of all, that gummy probably has a fraction of the nutrients you needed. And the first thing I always ask is, did you take it with a meal? No, I didn't. Yeah, good multivitamins, good B vitamins are going to hurt your stomach if you're not taking it with enough food. And I mean, I've accidentally done that too. There's nothing worse than taking a multivitamin on an empty stomach, So typically I will take them at the end of the meal because sometimes if I would find I would take it at the beginning and get distracted with something, especially when I had younger kids, and then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't eat. Yeah. And that could backfire. Not going to change the supplement to something that is so uh, unabsorbable or so minuscule in the dosage that I am actually not getting the benefit to it. Okay, so let's go down here and that's okay. What I love about this test is it shows some things, some levels of inflammation going on in the body based on these different acids that are increased. But if there is inflammation, dysbiosis, lack of absorption going on in someone's gut, chances are their B vitamins are not going to be absorbed. So again, if this test is taken at face value, this person looks like, oh my gosh, I need a B complex. You're just going to pee that B complex out unless these issues in the gut are addressed first. And each of these things means something different. And you can see that without these B vitamins, some of these acids over time are going to increase and going to affect the body. What can also happen in addition to digestive issues is going to be inflammation in the cell. And that is looking at mitochondrial cellular energy. And again, knowing what supplements to take, and we divide it into kind of like three phases. I'm not going to take this and like give them every supplement they need or recommend every supplement they need. It's going to be a sit down educational session where I'm teaching them about what this means for them and then making those nutritional recommendations. Some of those nutritional recommendations may be in the form of supplements, but it is saying like, how do we get some of this inflammation down and then get those kind of acute issues out of the way and then, you know, or do we need to refer, in-house to our nurse practitioner? We need to look at a diagnostic issue, but or medicine, but being able to take those supplements and then not need those supplements and then move into the next round of nutritional supplements. So that's the next thing I see people doing that is what I would call an error in supplements is that they took something and let's see if there's anything else here I'm going to talk about before well, I'll talk about aminos. Well, let me just say this real quick. Some people were recommended a supplement or did their own research and grabbed a supplement, took it, felt great, and then just continued taking it. And let's say it had herbs in it that were similar to like an antifungal or an antiviral or an antibacterial. Okay. So that you wouldn't want to continue to stay on because it's just going to continue, like you wouldn't stay on an antibiotic on an ongoing basis. There are a few diagnostic conditions that require something like that. So that's not what I'm at all talking about. Always, again, what I'm truly passionate about is people having the data to know what they should and shouldn't be taking, and then getting that properly matched up with their medical conditions. So that they're not taking something that they shouldn't. They're not taking too much of something. They're not missing out on something that maybe could be enhancing their nutrition, their diet, and their lifestyle. So, but again, sometimes people are they're just wiping out their gut with these herbs that are just killing organisms, and they don't understand that that was meant to be something very short term. Um, Also, too, there are some gut supplements that contain things that will either move estrogen or reduce estrogen in the body. And those really shouldn't be on long term, both for young people um, and as we get older. So, different reproductive cycles, your estrogen is going to fluctuate different. So, taking a GI supplement that might actually impact your estrogen needs to be done under guidance. Is really what I would say is make sure that you're doing this and it fits what your labs are saying you need. Um, all right, so let's talk about omegas here. Again, this is a very popular supplement. A lot of the over-the-counters do not pass the vinegar test because no one wants to burp up fish oil. But the problem is that if that soft gel is encased in something that might as well be um, almost like plastic to the stomach so that you don't taste the fish oil. And I'm not saying you should taste the fish oil, but I'm just saying, like, are you getting any of this at all? Um, Also, too, when you buy an omega-3 supplement, it needs to be in triglyceride form. Otherwise, it actually can hurt the GI system for some people. So that's something to be really aware of and really um, cautious of. Other thing here, like I want to show this to you. Many people, because of the American diet, have too much omega-6 in their system. Their omega-3 may even be on the close to the normal side, but if they're doing too much processed food, the need for omega-3 may be greater. If they're having specific symptoms that are related to an omega-3 deficiency, being able to say, okay, well, this is, um, you have these imbalances, they're related to these nutrient deficiencies. These are the nutrient deficiencies we found in your assessment. We want you to increase these foods. Short term, you might need this nutrient in a more potent form. Uh, so again, I think part of what happens is we read something or see something on social media and then, oh, that's good for me. Oh, that's good for me. And then, just start adding things and lose the intentionality of what is your body saying you need, and then what is the lab work or the assessment or anything, what kind of knowledge can I get to determine what I need? Okay, so for sure, if you're taking a blended omega-369, you may be increasing inflammation in your body if you're increasing that omega-6 level. Almost never do I see someone with an omega-6 deficiency. Yeah, just not not gonna see that very often. So let's see, what else did I want to talk to you about? Yeah, so that's kind of looked up my notes there to see if there's anything else. So that's in general what I would say about supplements. Um, Vitamin E, that's a popular one. It's also toxic in high doses. Oftentimes, if the gut's inflamed, these fat soluble nutrients like vitamin A, toxic in high doses, um, can be uh, stored in a way in the body that is just not going to be beneficial. So also too, iron, like uh, if you run low in iron, ask yourself, or work with someone that will help you know why. It's not enough to just take iron. It's also not enough to get your iron levels normal and then stop taking it, because eventually you might wind up back into an abnormal range if you didn't address the why your iron was so low to begin with. For some people with low iron, they're not making enough stomach acid. They have too much inflammation in their GI system to absorb such a hard mineral. Um, but again, iron isn't something can be very problematic if it's being if a person's on it for too long. Some people assume that if they are tired, they need more iron. Well, there are a lot of nutrients that are going to help with energy. Also, too, hair products. Taking a high dose of a B vitamin, again, if you're not absorbing your B vitamins, may not help, but sometimes a high dose of like a biotin may be hurting the thyroid. So someone may be taking a nutrient for hair and nails, and their hair looks great for a while, but then also maybe their thyroid, like again, are we robbing Peter to pay Paul? So there are certain uh, herbs for adrenals that will help boost cortisol. Um, again, does someone need to keep boosting their cortisol until their cortisol is too high? Now they've developed a different issue, and they felt great on the supplement, and they didn't stop taking it once they normalized. Also, some of these herbs can that are helping the adrenals again may be compromising the thyroid. So looking at this is important. Randomly taking supplements and not understanding if the benefit is going to be compromising something else or short-lived, and you just kept taking the supplement, or taking the supplement over time created a new issue. So brand quality, what are you really paying for? Kind of analyzing the cost. Do you really need it? Do you need it short term, not long term? And is it hurting you by staying on it for too long without having the information? Okay, those are like my takeaways for you in this. Um, this is a profit business, and the information out there is just like any other area, is massive, is confusing, and I definitely want to help people. We want to help people understand that really once you understand that supplement as a part of your nutrition, what do you really need? And how do you be really intentional about that? And then when you know what you need, how do you buy really good quality at the dosage that works for you? So I hope this educational time together has been really helpful. And join me again for another episode. Thank you.